The college football playoffs were absolutely electrifying. What did it tell us about the 2025 rookie class? We break it down in our biggest rankings, risers, and fallers in this episode. All this and more. It's the IBT podcast coming right at you.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me, been the guy calling Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my MPC. Earn my stripes like I fixed this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right. It is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. And yes, this is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for both a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. The college football season finished last night in spectacular fashion as the Ohio State Buckeyes won and covered against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We'll certainly chat all about the CFP and its impact on the 2025 Dynasty rookies in this episode. Also, the NFL playoffs are going off without a hitch, and we'll dive back into the gambling streets over there and give you our best bet for conference championship weekend. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, still moving and grooving as the sensational year of 2025 continues. And as always, I'm joined by one of the biggest entertainment and NFL betting marks on the internet, a dude who has two beach houses, one in the great state of Massachusetts, another in Florida, a place he just returned from, Boston's boy, Steve Lawson. Steve, how was vacation, my friend?
Vacation was great. We discovered that the Yeti is, in fact, a real being. My boyfriend, and I all came together, agreed the Yeti, real. Helen Keller, not so much.
Okay. I haven't seen the Yeti yet. I'm a Bigfoot believer, though. It was running around my backyard when I was a kid. So I am a believer in Bigfoot. Also potentially a believer in Bigfoot is a man who was born and raised in the Midwest. He's our utility player here at IBT. Jake, put him up, Perry. Jake, thanks so much for joining us tonight, man. How are you? Already over halfway through January. And are you a Yeti or Bigfoot believer?
I 1000% am. I agree with Steve, though. Helen Keller was a liar.
Oh, come on.
Tell me she flew a plane?
That's what I'm saying. She flew a plane. Helen Keller flew a plane, but the Yeti is unrealistic. Come on now.
Why is Helen Keller all of a sudden in the news again? Because I was just seeing something on the internet about, the internet's been a crazy place the last 48, 92 hours or so, but yeah. Helen Keller did make her way into my algorithm, so something's going on over here, Steve.
Oh yeah, she's a bona fide liar. So, something's fishy.
Okay.
We found her out, and that's why she's getting popular again.
Snuffed her ass.
We know, Helen.
Well, that's Steve over here doing some Big J journalism. Also on the program, we're joined by a man who moves the needle for this particular show, Yinzer Ginger, former IUP Crimson Hawk audio engineer behind the scenes, Mr. Kyle Scott. Jim, how's it going out there? Heard you got a big trip to Virginia Tech this week.
I am doing fantastic. I am not thinking about going down to beautiful Blacksburg, Virginia, and the wonderful facilities of Virginia Tech. I'm not thinking about that, so I'm having a great time. I'm busy having a great time with you guys on the IBT podcast.
Man, come on, have a little heart for the Hokies, dude. What'd they ever do to you, my friend?
Man, I've been burned so many times in Virginia Tech, I don't even want to talk about it.
All right. Well,
they've done me dirty.
We'll put that behind us tonight. Also, shout out to the IBT family. We've got a ton of content here on the channel for you. Live shows, video on demands, and now officially back in the YouTube Shorts game. Thanks to our secondary producer, Nicolette Rojo. Nicolette, how's it going? I know you're in the back end as well. And thanks so much for watching us, not just once a week, but you put up with our dumbasses a couple times while you're cutting some shorts. So thank you for that. How are you doing tonight?
Doing good. Thank you for having me, and I'll I love this family. So of course I'm down. I'm always open to putting up with everyone's nonsense. It makes my day. And not asked, but I am also a diehard big believer in Bigfoot and Yeti. I'm
Ooh.
convinced I have seen them.
Okay.
At some point, I just
Go.
don't recall where, but I saw some big, heavy shadows in the woods.
Okay.
And I don't. Yeah, I'm very convinced he's there. He's out there.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your presence tonight as always. Thanks so much for joining us, and let us know in the chat. Do you guys believe in Bigfoot, Yeti? Again, I'm a Bigfoot believer. Like, where's the Yeti live, Steve? Like, is that an Arctic thing?
It's in the like Everest region. It's in the Himalayan mountains. Now, to
Oh.
me, this is a very reasonable thing. There's a large bear up in those mountains that's native to those mountains, right? What's more realistic, a bear in those mountains or a 21-foot tall moose camel, which we call a giraffe, right? Like that to me is, or a platypus. It's like 7 different animals kind of amalgamated into one. And you're telling me a bear in the Himalayas is like absolutely insane to believe in? Come on now. Dinosaurs used to walk this earth. Crazier things have happened. There's 100-foot fish in the ocean. Like, come on now.
Yeah, I'm with you there. There's something up there in those Himalayas for sure. Also, we got a ton of great website blogs and articles right now, whether you're into NFL, college football, golf, NASCAR, entertainment. Make sure you check them out. Plus, a ton of new exciting stuff coming your way soon. So please like this video if you enjoy this type of content and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get this party started, though. We're going to fire up some Rave rookie reviews. As much as I love college football season, as much as I love NFL season, I am a mark for draft season, boys. I love everything it brings. I love Dynasty rookie drafts and getting into all the discussion and the debate. We're going to continue that conversation tonight on the program with our winners and losers of the college football playoffs for the 2025 rookie class. Steve, we saw a lot of good talent on display the last 4 or 5 weeks in college football. Who was one of your biggest risers when it comes to your Dynasty rankings, my friend?
Yeah, this was kind of a surprise because I think a few shows ago I was talking about how he may not even be like a top 5 player at his position, maybe not a first round pick, but it's TreVeyon Henderson for the Ohio State Buckeyes, or should I say national champion Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah.
Good job to the big OH out there. Good job, like go Bucks. I come from a Buckeye family. My entire family is a bunch of Buckeye fans. So this was nice for them. TreVeyon Henderson looked good. You know, he looked explosive. He looked like he was able to handle every facet of the game. His pass blocking was good. His pass catching was even better. His run fits were great. He was explosive. He looked the part of a 3-down back at the NFL level. I still don't have him in the top 2 at the position, but you could talk me into number 3, and I'd probably be willing to meet you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting because I took a lot of shrapnel for initially having him as my RB2 in this class. Obviously, we know Nick Singleton out of the picture right now. He's going back to Penn State. So to me, it kind of cleared up any concerns I might have had about Henderson being that RB2. But we still got a lot of other good running backs in the mix here, specifically one that Jake touched on as a winner, potentially from the same team. Jake, what are you seeing over there with the other running back out there in Columbus?
Yeah, I mean, Quinshon Judkins pretty comfortably established himself as a top 4 running back in this class. I have zero concerns about saying that. We saw what he did as a true freshman in the SEC. We saw him dominate the SEC yet again as a sophomore. He comes on over, joins Ohio State, comes into a room with an already extremely talented running back room, obviously with TreVeyon Henderson there. When you're having to compete with the number 2 running back he's been my running back to the entire process. Nothing has changed when it comes to Henderson for me. Judkins, I had some concerns about, but what he showed in the playoffs, especially against, my Notre Dame Fighting Irish just last night, he showed what makes him so special. He can, again, much like Henderson, perform in every facet of the game. There's really nothing he can't do. He's efficient as a receiver, efficient as a runner. He had a better season this year, efficiency-wise, than he did last year at Ole Miss. So Judkins, his performance in the playoffs especially, just comfortably established his spot for me. I have zero concerns having him as a top 4 guy in this group.
It's interesting because I had him right there at number 4 coming into the college football playoffs, and I'm actually dropping him a little bit in my rankings. He's actually one of my biggest losers, and I hear what you're saying, and I was one of the people who did have Henderson above Judkins, but they're close to me. I just didn't see him do much other than I felt like he scored a bunch of touchdowns in this postseason. In fact, I think what really hurt him, Jake, in my rankings was that 70-plus yard run he had last night. Actually kind of hurt him because he had clear separation to take it to the house, and his top line speed was not there at all. So I'm worried that if he doesn't run fast at the combine, he could potentially have a slow time. I still think he's probably locked and loaded as a day 2 pick just because of the overall pedigree we've seen from him, but still like a 3-star recruit. He did push Zach Evans out of Ole Miss down there, which I think was really his claim to fame. Had about 1,500 yards rushing as a true freshman. So he was brilliant, but with other guys that I'm really starting to like kind of move up my board, Omarion Hampton, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, even without the Penn State backs, I think I have Judkins 5 or 6, which isn't like he's not off my board or anything like that, Jake, but I am a little bit lower on him. Steve, kind of where do you fit in on this mix? And I know you like Judkins a little bit better than Henderson coming into the postseason. Have things kind of flipped for you?
They have. They've flipped pretty hard, actually. One thing I will always stand on is that at the running back position, you have to be fast. And Quinshon Judkins is not. Now, I'm not saying he's not fast to the average person. Of course he is. But the NFL linebackers now run like safeties and defensive backs. And he got chased down last night on a play where he really did have 10 yards of separation between him and that guy. That was a real head start, and he got caught pretty easy. That is really concerning. Now, there's 2 ways he can go in the NFL because there's 2 slow running backs that come to mind when I watch him. One is my former Florida State alumni, Devonta Freeman.
Yeah.
Back, but productive. On the other hand, he could be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, surrounded by a ton of talent, so able to get those big holes in the NFL and can't get past the second level. And if you can't get past the second level, you're just not going to be very useful at the NFL level, a la Zach Evans, right? Like, that's what's going on. That's what's derailed his career. He's not fast enough. He's not able. And you see when guys lose that step, Zeke Elliott, perfect example. All it takes is losing a little bit of speed. A tiny bit of speed at the NFL level creates such a massive chasm of difference and ability. So I don't have Quinshon Judkins even in my top 5 anymore.
Jake, any final thoughts for you on Judkins? Because we did see Henderson have the explosive plays prior to the championship game. Judkins really did provide an explosive spark for the Buckeyes in the championship game. But in that Texas game, I don't know if Ohio State wins without that screen pass 70-yarder taken to the house with under 2 minutes to play in the first half. So Henderson just offers a little bit more, from a fantasy perspective. Do you think it's maybe one of those situations that Judkins just wasn't asked to do a lot of pass catching? He did catch a pass in the end zone yesterday. We saw Will Howard kind of scrambling around and then find him just kind of in the middle of the field there lurking.
Yeah, I think it boils down with it's in Judkins' skill set. It's just not something he was asked heavily to do in that offense. And I'm far less worried about the top end speed argument. He's got a 4.49 40 already timed from college combines and stuff that he's done from that. On film, he reached a top speed at 22.5 miles an hour this year. I'm just not concerned about the speed out of a back who's probably going to weigh in. He's probably going to be right around 6 foot and probably weigh in close to 225, 230 pounds.
But I just colleges cook those 40 times too. They lie all the time about those 40 times. So that 4.49 with his college reporting it, that's like a 4.5 4.55, 4.6.
Is this an Altric estimate situation, Jake?
but
Could this be a 4.7?
It's no, absolutely not. You don't reach 22.5 miles an hour through GPS data running that slow. Like you can't produce that top end speed with that 40 time. It's just impossible. And we've seen him do it this year. We've seen him break. There was an 84-yard touchdown run, very similar to the one we saw, just last night, where he pulled away with zero issues whatsoever. So maybe he's nursing some bit of an injury. That will let me pull it. I think it was Kentucky.
I mean, come on.
It's still an SEC team. It's a team that has more
matter.
4 and 5 star.
Like, oh, it's an SEC team.
That team
doesn't.
That team has more 4 and 5 star prospects than Notre Dame had.
I think bottom line, I think Quinshon Judkins is going to be the most polarizing prospect in this draft. I think we will see rookie drafts depending on the landing spot and the draft capital where he's going
fantasy wise. You mean?
Yeah. I think he could be going, mid to late first round in rookie drafts, but I could see some rookie drafts where he'll slide because people are a little concerned about the top end speed. But I think Indianapolis is going to tell us a lot. I don't know.
Screams New England Patriot to me, and that's just that's where I'm at. Like, you know what I mean? Like
he screams Dallas to me. He screams Dallas.
Oh, okay.
No,
well,
Dallas is going to take like Ollie Gordon or something like that. They need a guy who can pop the top off the defense.
All right. Well,
I'll bet right now that Quinshon Judkins has a better speed score than Ollie Gordon does.
Oh, I'll lay that down. I'll lay that bet down. I'll take that bet. I'll take that.
Speed score or 40 times specifically?
Speed score. So it's
okay. The
size adjusted.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not betting on Ollie Gordon. No way. I don't know what to expect. He's I'm going to be tomorrow I'm going to be recording a Fantasy Pros episode with Ray GQ, and I know he's going to talk a little bit about Ollie Gordon because that's another guy I just have no idea.
That's my RB2 in this class.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see what you have to say about him later this offseason. Also excited to see what Ray has to say this week. Tyler in the chat saying, love this bet, bringing the heat. Also thinks Judkins and Henderson are going to be some great values this season, specifically because they did split time. People are going to potentially underestimate them. We got Ben hanging out in the chat as well. What's up, Ben? Good to see you, brother. And we also got Albert checking in with us. Good evening, IBT. Good evening, Albert. Hope you're having a great Tuesday evening. Thanks for hanging out with us as always here on the IBT channel. Boys, I would like to stay in the Big Ten, but pivot positions. And I revealed my rookie rankings a few weeks ago on the program. And now that a lot of the Penn State team has foregone the NFL draft, Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, they're returning. We knew for a while Drew Aller was returning. But Tyler Warren was at the end of my first round in that episode. I think he is now creeping into the mid to late first round conversation. I currently have him up at 10. I originally had him at 12. With the loss of Singleton, he moved up a spot. And also with Judkins moving down in my rankings, I have Tyler Warren firmly at 10 in them. And he had perhaps not only the greatest college football regular season of all time, but this guy took over the CFP this season as well. Just 39 total yards against SMU, but that was kind of a weird game, out of hand by halftime. And then against Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Eve, he had 6 receptions for 63 yards, 2 touchdowns, including one of the best toe tappers you'll ever see from a big man. He was everything for Penn State in the semis as well. 6 for 75 through the air, 2 for 21 on the ground. But they're lining him up in the gun under center before motioning him out a ton. I think the fantasy football community has not caught on yet that this guy is not only Taysom Hill, a former quarterback, lethal as a ball carrier, but he has hands of glue, second in the entire country in receptions, 104 of them, 7th in receiving yards as well, 1,200 yards. So this is a guy I think not only will be a great pass catcher, but he can be used creatively. That's a guy I want on my team in fantasy football, specifically dynasty formats. What do you think, Jake?
I struggle with Warren because I really do like what we saw this year. My biggest issues with him is he caught some touchdowns last year. This year, obviously he put together a phenomenal season, but we also have to talk about the fact that he's 25.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. I think it's a fair conversation because Penn State coaches up until this point just never utilized their guys, right? Like Theo Johnson, if you remember, he went out and put almost a perfect RAS, relative athletic score, in the combine last year. And it's like, where'd this guy come from? Because he wasn't shit at Penn State either. Even in his senior year, wasn't nearly the player Warren's been.
Yeah, like I said, with Warren, like the film looks so good. This isn't like a Dalton Kincaid situation for me. Kincaid was a tight end who, was older than pretty much the rest of the class, only really had 1 year of solid production. Warren looks far better on film than Kincaid ever has. And I think Warren's far more worthy of first round draft capital than Dalton Kincaid. I just worry that NFL teams are going to worry about the fact that he's 25.
Yeah. That's very, very true.
Yeah.
Steve.
He's still my top tight end. I will put he's still my top tight end. He's my second favorite pass catcher behind Emeka Egbuka, but he's 25. I can't that's hard for me to cope with.
Steve, does the age deter you as well? Because I know you've been a big Colston Loveland guy and previously had him as your tight end one.
Yeah, the age isn't great. I'll say this about the tight end position. I'm usually out on it in general.
Yeah, that's you are.
Because you never know, right? Unless you have a Brock Bowers-esque player coming out that is so lock, smash, gonna be a star. The position's just a crapshoot. I mean, Kyle Pitts sucks. And I would have put my house on the fact that he would have been great. And then he goes up and puts up 1,000 yards as a rookie, and you're like, this is a easy money. And then what happened? So this position is a mess, right? Jonnu Smith is like an undrafted or a 6th round, 7th round dude. George Kittle was like a 3rd round dude. Travis Kelce was like a 3rd or 4th round dude. Yeah, like this is not a position that necessarily needs a 1st round grade in order to even be worth drafting in fantasy.
True.
So I'm much happier waiting till the 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounds of my dynasty drafts and just kind of slinging darts at guys. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get it. Like Tucker Kraft a couple years ago, people were firing darts on him late round. He paid off in spades. So
I'd much rather TreVeyon Henderson at like the 106 or 107 than Tyler Warren. You know what I mean? Like, and that kind of could be where you're at.
Brent in the chat saying I've never taken a tight end in dynasty drafts before the 3rd, and I get it, man. But like Brock Bowers was so sensational as a rookie, and I think I don't think Tyler Warren can have that type of season. But if teams
you'll be able to fool people into trading with you because of Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers is going to increase the value of this guy right here, and people will want to move up to get him.
And I'll be one of them, dude. Like I just think you're getting potentially Taysom Hill type of
Seth,
usage.
He's our age. Like, what do you mean?
I'm all right, man.
He's going to retire next year. I mean,
I just love that the fact that you could get both rushing and receiving upside. That's basically what it comes down to. But
there
I totally
is no
understand.
indication that he's going to get rushing upside. That is a strictly Saints thing. There's no other tight ends that are getting rushing yards on
Brock
top
Bowers.
of it. Like
Brock Bowers.
He gets
had like 5 carries.
5. That's not worth
5 more than 0.
It's
Brent saying Bowers is the exception, not the rule. Pitts in the first, garbage. Laporta in the 3rd, winning.
We need to stop rewriting the Kyle Pitts history. The dude had his knee absolutely obliterated. He looked phenomenal as a rookie with poor quarterback play.
Well, then that was a bad knee injury, and you would think modern medicine could get him back. Because I mean,
he's a prime example of push to come back too soon. He wasn't 100% when he started rehabbing, which creates micro tears in your tendons and muscle and ligaments and all of that fun stuff as it is. So when it's not 100% and you're pushing yourself to get back, you're going to limit your potential to return to full capabilities.
I do still think Kyle Pitts will have a good career. I think he needs to get out of Atlanta at this point and go somewhere where he'll be better. Kansas City, perfect place to go.
I'll tell you what, last year, speaking of Kansas City, Steve, I traded in a dynasty league. I traded I traded Kyle Pitts for Travis Kelce, and we swapped first rounds. I moved back in that trade. I got Brian Thomas Jr. still, and I got Kelce, and I got his first round pick for this year that I'm probably going to use on Tyler Warren. So feeling good about that one, getting out of Kyle Pitts and getting Kelce for a year to make a run at a ship. So absolutely. I do want to bring up one more winner for me from the CFP guys. It's Matthew Golden of Texas. I think all year, all of us, or at least I can say myself, were under the impression that Isaiah Bond was the best wide receiver at Texas. But Matthew Golden absolutely cooked in these playoffs. Popped off against Georgia first in the SEC championship, 8 receptions, 162 yards, and then was pretty quiet at the start of the CFP against Clemson, but single-handedly kept Texas in the game against Arizona State in the Peach Bowl, 7 for 149 and 1. It was honestly some oversight, I think, on my part to not have Golden ranked very highly initially. But I didn't know he was nice like this. Transfer from Houston, a really good returner. He is a speed merchant, but also is great at getting open. He's got a really good snap on his route to create separation. So I think the big plays will come because he has a really nice catch radius for not being the biggest guy. And I think that's like the big knock on him, right? Like not the biggest lad out there, not the best in run blocking situations, might turn some teams off of him come the NFL draft. But if he can weigh in well, and if he can run fast at the combine, I think he probably is a round 2 draft prospect for a lot of teams. So to me, I think we should also be targeting him in the second round of rookie drafts. Jake, your thoughts here on what we saw from Golden over the last few weeks, and then I would also like to get your thoughts on another wide receiver in this very same room.
Yeah, Golden's a guy I kind of go back and forth on just because of the things that you mentioned. Like, there's a lot to his film that's really nice, but there's just a lot of play strength concern, play size concern. I don't know if he's going to even, he's listed at, I believe, 6', 195. I don't think he's 6 foot. I doubt he's 195.
Yeah, that's that's a generous number.
He kind of fits like that early career Stephon Diggs mold, where it's like he has to, if he doesn't win the route, there's really nothing that he can do. And he has to win the route with timing, which is something that Texas's offense as a whole struggled with timing routes all year. I think that's more on Quinn Ewers just being really bad than anything else. But I'm not super high on him. I think he'll probably be a day 3 pick personally.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think there's too many other wide receivers who have established themselves as better talents. And this class being deeper at running back, deeper at tight end, and deep at NFL caliber wide receivers, I think is just going to limit where he goes. I think he's probably like a 4th round. He's probably like an early day 3 guy, like a round 4 guy, but he did impress in the playoffs. And that's definitely going to help his stock quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Cardinal in the chat asking, is Trey Harris just another guy? Look, dude, or another DK. I like Trey Harris a lot. I just released my first mock draft of the season, published over there at Fantasy Pros, and have Trey Harris going at pick 29 to the Washington Commanders. How fun would that be? A guy who can run the outside well, can run in the slot. Another guy who transferred from a G5 school into the SEC and continues to put up numbers. So we will talk much more about Trey Harris this offseason, and Ted McMillan. Cardinals also excited for him. So make sure you're subscribed, Cardinal. Make sure you're hanging out with us all offseason, and we'll definitely touch on those guys as well. Jake, I would like to talk about the other wide receiver here at Texas, Isaiah Bond. Kind of a mixed bag for him, I would say overall. Very highly touted transfer coming from another SEC school in Bama, but not the best end of the season for young Bond.
Yeah, he basically just entirely disappeared in the playoffs, which is going to put a lot of people off. I've never been a huge Isaiah Bond guy. I thought he was fine. Again, most of this class to me is wide receivers that are going to be better for their NFL teams than they are for our fantasy teams. So Bond will still probably get taken with decent capital just because of, one, he's going to run like a 4.33. He's going to be fast. People are going to get excited about that. He's going to get overdrafted as a result, but he feels like a guy much in the mold of like, I don't want to say Darius Slayton, but that's kind of his upside to me. Like he'll have like 3 or 4 good weeks a year. And then for like 2 of them are going to come in the first 4 weeks, and we're going to chase it with Slayton in our lineup for 4 weeks, get 3 points, bench him. And that's when he's going to go off again. So we're going to put him back. Like there's just going to be no consistency to his game, in my opinion. And there's just far more complete wide receivers who I think can step into a role right away. That I was already low on Bond. Now I'm fairly confident I will just draft 0 Isaiah Bond.
So, Steve, it sounds like Jake's out on both these Texas wide receivers, probably at cost this Dynasty rookie draft season. Will you be in on either one of them?
I'm probably in on both, actually. Not necessarily saying I'm like pounding the table for either of them, but I will say like for Golden, he kind of does remind me of, weirdly enough, Golden Tate. It looks like he can do a lot with the ball in his hands, kind of take short routes a long way. He can get open, and he's a little more physical than I think you'd think. Isaiah Bond, I think he's going to be fine. I think the issue with Isaiah Bond toward the end of the season is that Quinn Ewers was not good.
Yeah.
And that I mean, listen, when you're the number one guy and you're drawing the number one coverage and the defense is keying in on you and your quarterback is struggling, you're going to see a reduction in your production. And I didn't mean to rhyme that, but it did. And like, I'm not really out on Bond. I'd still take him over Golden at this point.
Okay.
But I'm not really sitting here saying like these guys are going to set the world on fire.
Yeah.
I do think his ceiling is much higher than Darius Slayton. That seems a little mean. But
Darius Slayton has like multiple 800-yard receiving seasons.
Yeah. I actually think Darius Slayton's kind of a nice little player. That when the Steelers were poking around in the wide receiver market before the deadline, Darius Slayton was a name that was getting thrown around there. I was like, yes, I would love Darius Slayton, but no, we just got Mike Williams who had like 4 catches.
I think Isaiah Bond could
yards.
be much more of a Tyler Lockett like kind of guy.
Okay.
I think that could be a much more like where you could get to, and I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit lower on Bond too, and like not having the cleanest bill of health, I think coming into the process doesn't make me overly excited. But we're going to talk NFL Combine bets later in the offseason as well. And you can best believe both these guys could potentially get a little bit of coin from us potentially for a fast 40. So looking forward to be betting those. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, hanging out with us all off season long as we continue to cover rookies. Tyler in the chat saying he loves the rookie coverage. We appreciate it, man. It's a great time in the NFL cycle, the college football cycle. So excited to break it out and down further with you. Steve, you have another loser for us, specifically at the quarterback position. Who did you lose some faith in this postseason?
Yeah, I lost pretty much all faith in Dillon Gabriel at this point. Like, I don't even know where to begin without coming across as like a jerk. This is just, honestly, I mean, great season. Not an NFL quarterback. That's like, he is the quintessential college quarterback, right? Like, he is of the Tim Tebow, Johnny Manziel kind of guy, right? Like, sets the league on fire. Case Keenum puts up the numbers, right? Big numbers, big stats, big wins. Pretty much not because of him. Like, it's kind of weird. It's just not, it doesn't work. And whatever's going on, I don't know if it's mechanically or between his ears, it doesn't translate. And when the competition got tough, you saw every flaw. Every flaw was just magnified. His accuracy was bad. His footwork was bad. His decision-making was bad. His processing was bad. And at this point, he's, in my mind, an undraftable if I'm an NFL team. Like, I would not spend any draft capital.
Well, he's
Dillon
old as
Gabriel.
shit too, right, Jake? I mean, how old is Dillon Gabriel? He's played. I mean, I think he was playing in college when I was still in college.
Yeah, he just finished his 6th college season. He's 24. He's going to get drafted because he's going to make a great scout team safety.
That sounds like UDFA.
We thinking probably day 3 then. Day 3 is probably where we,
if at all.
Wow, we really think he's fallen that far out, huh?
There's too many talented quarterbacks that I think will get taken above him. So obviously, I think we're all pretty set on Shedeur and Cam Ward, probably both going in the first round.
Yep.
Jalen Milroe, someone's going to take a shot because of the tools.
Yep.
Quinn Ewers, is he going back? He's coming out. He declared.
Yeah,
he'll get taken by somebody. Kyle McCord at least gives you prototypical size. Will Howard, Curtis Rourke at least give you prototypical size. You have Jackson Dart, who a lot of people really like.
I like Dart.
Gabriel's he's small, not fast, and Steve said, just struggles when the lights are the brightest, and that's not going to do him any favors with NFL personnel.
Yeah, I like McCord a lot better. I'm not super high on Ewers, but even have Ewers a little bit, or definitely a lot higher than Gabriel as well. So, yeah, I'm with you, Steve. I know he was someone you were kind of excited to see what he could do in the postseason, and just laid a real egg there in that Rose Bowl performance against the Buckeyes. So tough to swallow, but Come on, Dillon. We need you, buddy. We need you. Steve doesn't, but someone might need you.
ESPN will get a hell of an analyst.
All right. Before we transition out of Rave rookie reviews, what we like to do on this program, we're also going to talk some best bets for the divisional round. But we also like to combine pop culture with fantasy football, as we always do here at IBT. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring our guy Kyle Scott in here, and we're going to play some entertainment questions here, starting with the best underrated movie of 2024. I want to start with this. I think movies, really good time. Steve, Jake, you guys both kind of cover this for a living for us over here at IBT. So good year for 2024 movies. Yeah,
I would say so. I put out an article actually on our site giving you the top 24 movies of 2024. And I'm really happy to say that I think 3 out of the 4 picks wound up on that list.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, Kyle, we got you on air with us, man. How you doing? And dude, hair, the flow's looking nice, man. I haven't seen you on camera here on the program for a little bit.
Thank you. You can't even see the flow. It's in a bun right now. But no, I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about some movies. I think 2024 was a great year for movies personally. I saw a few in the theaters.
Okay.
So I'm excited.
Okay. Well, I want to start with you then, Kyle. What was the best underrated movie of 2024?
All right. So I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this probably since I guess it came out. But this is a movie called Monkey Man, made by Dev Patel. He wrote and directed and starred in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really, really good action movie. Really great action choreography and really fun cinematography. It's a really, really fun movie to watch, not only because of the story and just how well it's made, but like the shots and all the cinematography just leads into one another and it flows very well. It's a really well-made movie, great action movie. I think everyone would like it.
Okay, so maybe a riser or a winner for Kyle and his 2024 movie rankings. Jake or Steve, did either of you guys see this film?
I did. I saw it in theaters. And I agree. Super fun film to watch. Very different. It's very John Wick-esque, like in the idea, but it's shot so differently because it's a much more chaotic shot. The camera is a lot more motion to it, and it almost puts you right into the fight scenes in a way that makes you feel like you're just there, like watching all this happen. The lore behind it is really cool too. It dives into a lot more of like culture and identity. I really loved Monkey Man. I enjoyed it a lot. It was really hard to leave it off the list that I wrote, and I look back and I'm like, should I have put it on there? And I'm like kind of questioning myself right now because I'm thinking back on it. I'm like, that was a fun experience.
Yeah. Jake, did you see this one too?
Yep. Also saw it in theaters, and I very much agree. It kind of gives you, it's not shot in a first person perspective, but it kind of gives you that same chaotic nature of like Hardcore Henry. Came out in 2016, full first person point of view. And it gives you that same kind of chaos. And like Steve mentioned, and Kyle mentioned, like it's chaotic, but you also totally understand what's going on at the same time, which gives you that kind of unique, like Steve said, feel that you're experiencing it too.
Okay.
Like you're a fly on the wall.
Yeah. Also, great time for movies, I feel like, in general right now. I don't know if you guys are like kind of looking around on Thursday nights, like, what do I watch? Monday nights now. Hey, what am I trying to find here? Not a big NBA guy. Can't really get myself there. We got NASCAR and PGA ripping, which, I'll certainly be tuned in there. But yeah, a lot of time to spare. And a movie I watched recently, actually based on your list, Steve, it kind of told me, hey, this is maybe something I should give a try. And that was My Old Ass. I mean, talk about a trip of a movie. This girl actually goes on a trip, tries some drugs in high school, like I think a bunch of us have, and ends up having a trip and sees her future self, played by Aubrey Plaza, who does a banger of a job playing like a 39-year-old version of the girl, and just really puts life in perspective, I think. And like, if you could go back and like talk to your younger self and tell them, hey, appreciate your friends in this time now, appreciate your family and the life you were given, like it's really cool. There's the male lead in that movie too. Like guy looks like Kyle, got some great locks, cool looking dude. So really, really good movie. Steve, thanks for that recommendation. My old ass. That was a really good one, man.
Yeah, shout out Percy Hines White for pulling it together. Yeah, that was a tearjerker for me. I'm not a huge crier at
Same.
movies, but I will cry at movies. And this one, I was like, man, if you love your mom like at all, this movie's gonna hit you like in a real tough spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I was not hopeful when I was getting ready to watch it. I don't know why. It's just something about the word ass in the title just made me laugh. And I did not get the outcome that I was expecting because, like Steve said, I was in tears.
Yeah, it's rough. It's a hard one,
but still funny. There's still a lot of
funny, really funny, well acted.
Yeah,
it hurts.
I love the set too. I love the Canadian coastal town too that they were in up in British Columbia. That was really cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
So two more biggest underdog movies of 2024 before we jump into our divisional round bets. So what do we have here from you, Steve?
Yeah, I went with another tearjerker movie. I went with The Wild Robot. It's an animated movie. It stars Lupita Nyong'o, Kit Connor as the robot, and then Bright Bill, the little duckling that learns how to like fly and swim and do all this stuff with her. And oh my God, this is a movie that is there's so much I want to say about it, but I don't want to like cry on camera. So again, it's all about like that family thing, you know what I mean? And like this is a very found family kind of movie and finding yourself and being like finding humanity, even though none of these characters are human. It's really about like that human nature of like what constitutes love and family and who you are overall. And oh my God, is it done so well. And the animation in this movie is just gorgeous, like just absolutely stunning. Every color pops. Every movement looks fluid. It's gorgeous. They knocked this one out of the park.
Yeah, good on him, man. And like I'll tell you what, like this was a movie I saw the previews, like nope, that's gonna make me cry. That's a tearjerker there. So Kyle, did you man up and see this one?
Yeah, actually, on the recommendation of one of my girlfriend's coworkers, she saw it and then said we should see it, and it is so cute. It's a great movie. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, Jake, you see Wild Robot too?
I haven't. I'm too afraid to because I know I'm gonna bawl the whole time.
Yeah.
So I have not. I have purposely avoided it so far, but I'm getting to the point where I'm not gonna be able to do it anymore.
Kyle, have you seen My Old Ass, Kyle? I didn't ask you.
I didn't. I'm putting that on the list though.
Yeah, put it
movie.
Yeah, put it on the list. Yeah, put it on the list. Also, kind of honorable mention for me, Snack Shack. That's a good movie too. That was
good.
That was almost my pick. That was almost my pick.
Seth, I was so impressed when you were like, "Have you seen Snack Shack? This is a great movie." I'm like, "Dude, yes, it is. Great job, great pull."
Yeah, no, yeah, I felt like it was too good that it wasn't underrated because everyone thinks it's good. So, last underrated movie of 2024 before we jump into the divisional round bets. Jake, what do you have for us, man?
Yeah, so I went with Woman of the Hour. For those who aren't familiar, it is based on Rodney Alcala, the dating show or dating game killer, his appearance on the dating game TV show. And Anna Kendrick plays the character that was supposed to go on a date with him. And it gives you that same kind of like, it's just a film that kind of creates that constant airiness, constant state, like everything from the way it's shot to obviously having the background of knowing about the story. It almost acts in the same way that Get Out does, where it's just kind of, there's something off the whole time. And you're at a constant state of unease and you're like expecting things to go wrong kind of entirely. And then when they go wrong, they don't necessarily go wrong the way you expected them to. And it just gives you that weird feeling. And it puts you in that spot of being like, you are a struggling actress who goes on a dating show and you almost end up getting murdered. Like it's a mind fuck to say the least. It is
Anna
so
Kendrick's
good.
right. That's
She directed it. It was distributed, originally released in 2023, only on the like film festival circuit.
Okay.
And then was officially released by Netflix in 2024. But yeah, it was her directorial debut, and I think she absolutely killed it.
Okay, I think I'm gonna have to add that to the list as well. You guys see this movie by Kendricks at all?
I did, and Anna Kendrick is definitely earmarked for more directorial turns because she did
Mhm.
such a good job. It's so funny to me that all these comedic kind of people make
Oh,
these
yeah.
kind of these horror movies
Yeah.
so well. It's
Yep.
a weird transition that happens. Her acting has always been phenomenal to me, and now like she's just showing she's more talented than
Mhm.
everybody else. So
Mhm.
this is
Yeah.
great. I loved it.
Awesome. Well, let us know in the live chat in the comments below, as well, guys, your favorite underrated movies of 2024. We want to hear from you. Again, if you guys like more entertainment content, go over to the channel, check out Steve and Jake's show, Popcorn Root Beer. They actually bet on entertainment, so that's very exciting as well. So, yeah, make sure you guys are making that money with them over there. Steve's working on some really cool stuff, some models to try and figure out stuff like Rotten Tomato scores and in box office budgets, things like that. Tyler in the chat, he's weighing in and he's saying we watched Wild Robot for the kids and it ended up being just as good for us. Great film. Love to hear it, man. What do you guys say? Should we go ahead and keep this train moving though and lay down some coin for the divisional round?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Here we go.
Between bets. Between bets.
All right, it's between bets. We're going to give you our best bets for the divisional round. We're going to go through the ATS and the money line picks, the total picks, and of course, some player props and parlays for y'all tonight. So let's go ahead and let's start it out here with Steve. You are once again backing the feisty Washington Commanders. I know this is a team you had a bunch of Commanders during the football season on your team for fantasy, and you've been backing them in the playoffs and making money.
Yeah, and there's no reason to stop doing that, right? Until they prove otherwise, this team is looking every bit a Super Bowl contender. They just beat the team we thought was coming out of the NFC. Like everyone had the Lions earmarked for a Super Bowl, and they beat the brakes off of them. So who's to say that like 6.5 points for this offense against a team they've already beaten this season? That's a lot. That's a lot in the playoffs for a divisional matchup. This is the third time these teams are seeing each other. A Super Bowl is on the line, and you're giving me more than a touchdown? That feels like
Under a
easy
touchdown,
money.
just under a touchdown, 6.5.
Oh, a touchdown if they
Yeah,
miss an extra point, right? Like I'm saying, like an actual touchdown. But yeah, touchdown PAT just underneath, right?
yeah.
So Jayden Daniels is firmly a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, you said
As
that
of
a
this
couple.
moment.
You said that a couple weeks ago, and I was shaking it off, and you know we might have something to it.
Yeah.
6.5 is a big line here, and I can understand the play. I don't have any confidence in where this game's going to go. I could see it being Eagles running away with it, but I also, Jake, got left out last week. I had a plus 6.5 on the Eagles over the Rams, was feeling good about it all game long, and then our guy Jake Elliott missed a couple extra points, and I got backdoored. So that was painful. That was painful. Do you think Jake Elliott maybe muff some things up and Washington at least can cover in this one, Jake?
I struggle with this one too. It's why I didn't actually make a pick in this section. It's just I could see either of the games going either way, but this one especially, like we don't know what Jalen Hurts we're gonna get. Yeah. Is he gonna be 100%? I don't think so. Is that gonna matter? I don't know. Saquon exists. When he exists, anything's possible. The line's already even moved off of what Steve put in here. The only book still offering it at 6.5 is FanDuel. Every other book is already down to 6. So the line's already moving on this pretty aggressively.
So if you want it, get them.
Yeah, get over there right now. But yeah, I don't think Jake Elliott will be the issue again. He's a guy with an elite first name, so I don't think he's going to mess up again. Plus, I don't think they're going to be playing in a blizzard again. And I think that was definitely part of the lack of cohesion we saw from that aspect of the game.
When you like the under in this game, 47.5 points. So talk about that play. Why do you think that's the better investment here for Washington versus Philadelphia?
Yeah, it mostly boils down to the fact that if Jalen Hurts isn't healthy, I think Philly's going to lean more heavily into the run. And as a result, we're just going to see a slower pace of play out of both teams. Washington has been known to lean on the run at times this season as well. When the passing game isn't working, they will go to the run. They can Daniels can run. I could just see this game being a lot slower than anticipated, especially, if God forbid Jayden Daniels gets hurt at some point in the game. Both teams are going to play extremely slow. It wouldn't surprise me to see this game even go. I would be comfortable with this line all the way down to like 41-42.
Wow. It's interesting because in one way it's hard to do that just because Washington is a team that just, put up a lethal amount of points, but it was against the Lions who were banged up, and Philly's defense looked great and the under was tracking. Eric last week was on the under in the Philly game. He was under in the Philly game in the wild card weekend, looked like he was going to go back to back. And then things just got a little out of hand there. I think when Quinshon Mitchell went out, as well as their backup cornerback that came in and played as well. So very, very interesting play here. 47.5. Is a high number, especially potentially for some more weather out there in Philadelphia. Steve, you like the under in the Sunday night game as well. Buffalo, Kansas City, AFC Championship grudge match between two bitter rivals. What are you seeing over here?
Yeah, I'm seeing two teams that, like, Kansas City does not let up points, nor do they really score points.
Yeah,
At a high clip.
you tried to go with the over last week just because it was such a low number and got
It was
burned.
such a low number, and it still didn't hit, right? Like, I think it was like 42 points. And they only got to like 38, I think. So this is not a team that likes to let up points. So for both teams to score, 24 points apiece, I don't see it because I don't see Buffalo's offense looking all that great right now. It doesn't look cohesive. It doesn't look very inspiring. Their strength is kind of matched by Kansas City's strength. And Kansas City, I truly do not believe this team is going to win. I think Buffalo is going to take this game overall. I don't think it's going to be in a shootout, though. I think Kansas City is finally going to suffer from the fact that they do struggle to score points, and Buffalo's going to take advantage of that.
Okay, so you're seeing kind of a tough and gritty game, and I think that's really
Legs.
like I almost think Buffalo's way to victory is probably putting up a shit ton of points, though, right? Because it's like Kansas City has only
They can run the ball so much better than Kansas City can because James Cook and Josh Allen are better than anything Kansas City has running the ball. So unless Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce really turn back the clock, I see this going Buffalo's way.
I like Buffalo last week, Jake. They were someone I was afraid. Obviously, I'm not touching that game just because it was one from an ATS standpoint. It's hard for me to get invested in pick'ems really at that point. But Buffalo, gun to the head. I said before the game to Kay, like gun to the head. I think Buffalo wins this game, and I think this is one of their best shots in quite some time to slay the Dragon of Kansas City.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we saw them match up earlier this year. Kansas City obviously didn't have the team that they currently have, but they were able to pull out the victory that time. Weather's going to play a factor this late in the year as well. But I actually like the over in this game. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think we are going to see we're one more week removed from Patrick Mahomes' ankle sprain. Now he's got another game under his belt after having not played since Christmas. So he'd been almost a month without a game. I think if there's an opportunity, I mean, hell, it's another week Isaiah Pacheco is healthier. It's another week Hollywood Brown is healthier. Like, I think Kansas City is going to find their stride. And I definitely understand Steve's point of them not allowing a ton of points, but they are good at limiting teams to just less than they score. Like we saw it the last two regular season games. They only beat the Ravens by 7, still gave up 20. The over would hit in that game against the Bengals, gave up 25. Like they have struggled at times this year against good offenses. They've even struggled against like the Carolina Panthers. Like there's just things that go one way or another in this game for this team. And I just can't imagine this game not being a shootout. And maybe that's just history. History of these two teams, but it's going to be a good game.
You guys would be this, right? Offensively for the Buffalo Bills, in the passing game especially, what wide receiver right now do you feel is going to do a good job against the Kansas City Chiefs? Because the
Khalil
number
Shakir.
one, no, he's not, because Trent McDuffie's there. And Trent McDuffie is probably the best slot cornerback in the NFL right now. So that's going to take away Shakir. Now you're leaning on Keon Coleman, who's a rookie, who's coming off an injury, who still looks hurt. This is not a good recipe. Amari Cooper, I don't know what happened to him. They traded for him, but I think they just sent a jersey that said Cooper and some guy, because that dude looks awful. Like, whatever is going on with Amari Cooper, it is a train wreck. Nothing about Buffalo through the air matches up well against Kansas City. Where Buffalo matches up well is on the ground. And when you're a ground-based game where the winds will probably be whipping, it's going to be freezing fucking cold. This is not a recipe for a high-scoring game, and Kansas City has yet to score over 30 points at all.
I think what's tough about this one is that the trends are conflicting. Kansas City, as you kind of mentioned, Steve, 7-11 to the over. So you're betting unders on Kansas City more times than not, and you're cashing them this season. But Buffalo kind of on the other side of that, 11-7-1. So they've been really good to bet the over on. So it's a tough game for me. I think I'm going to stay away from the total market here. And honestly, I'm staying away from the ATS markets as well. So we'll shift right into props, staying with this game. Jake, you're expecting Patrick Mahomes potentially have a turnover via interception here on Sunday night. What are you thinking?
He's due. He's due for an interception. I saw a tweet today. There have been like 280 turnovers or some crazy number of turnovers since like week 8 of this season. And Kansas City accounts for 0 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just their luck of keeping the ball on their side of the field has been so insane. Patrick Mahomes, he's a great quarterback. Great quarterbacks tend to get luckier with how they throw the ball, it not getting intercepted. But this is a defense that I do believe can give him trouble. The offensive line has had some concerning points. They're like either elite at their position or terrible at their position, especially like if you look at PFF, like Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Joe Thuney, all top 12 at their position. And then their current starting left guard and Jawan Taylor are Calendo, not even rated. He's been so poor. And Jawan Taylor's 62nd out of 81 qualifying tackles there.
I don't know how they just keep rolling. I mean, I guess they've had Thuney out, you know what I mean? Thuney, who's been rolling out there.
Their interior of their offensive line is elite. The interior of that offensive line. The number one thing, when
Creed
Tom
Humphrey
Brady
and Trey Smith, they're insane.
They talked to Tom Brady once and they said, "What's the worst kind of pass rush?" And he said, without a doubt, it's up the middle. It's the one that pushes right into your face. He's like, because you can step up into the pocket. He goes, but when you can't step up into the pocket, that's when you really get destroyed. That's when it ruins your game plan. He's like, because everyone accounts for an edge rusher. Every team accounts for an edge rusher. They don't account for a D tackle bombing into your, like, sitting on your lap, because you can't step into your throws. You can't step up in the pocket. That's why Kansas City's been so successful. They know that. They're like, hey, fuck the tackles. Like, we're not going to pay that. We'll pay the interior and let Mahomes just move around.
I think it's a lot of questions for the Buffalo defense in this one. Like, if we can see Taylor Rapp get up, he's day-to-day right now with that hip injury. We also saw Christian Benford get knocked out on a kick return as well. Taron Johnson with that shoulder injury. And Matt Milano kind of disappeared from the end of that game against Baltimore. He wasn't in on the last few plays, which I don't know why you wouldn't want to have a weapon like Matt Milano out there, who is, since he has returned from injury, guys, like, I think he has turned this Bills defense around 100%. as a whole. So if Matt Milano, Johnson, Rapp, and those guys can get back on the field, I really might consider this bet, Jake. I think this is a good one. Positive regression or negative regression in this point, it is a real thing. Win sports betting, win playing fantasy. So I think it's a great call out from you. Steve, I'd like to go.
One last thing I want to add. The last team to pick Patrick Mahomes off in the 2024 NFL season, the Buffalo Bills.
Okay. All right. Well, they've played him
twice.
Enough. Sean McDermott should have a read on them. Steve, I wanted to shift back to the NFC game, starting with your prop. You're going back to the well. Jayden Daniels over 1.5 passing touchdowns 2 weeks in a row at plus money. What do you like?
I like Jayden Daniels. I mean, that's all you have to say at this point. People keep giving me plus money on this, and I'm like, hey, listen, I'll take that right to the fucking bank. Why not? because if you're going to give me free money, I'm not going to tell you no. I'm not a fool.
Hit it last week, hit it the week before. I think you've been on it almost every single week in the postseason.
This guy is very quickly becoming like him, right? Like you're just looking at him going, like, what can he do? Dyami Brown looks good in this offense. Like,
yes, he does.
That post he threw
to
Dyami
yeah.
Brown.
Yeah.
There has never been a throw in the NFL better than that throw. That
okay.
I won't go that far. I'm not going to.
I won't say it's as good as any throw you'll ever see. You can't make that throw. If it had gone for a touchdown, if it had landed in the end zone instead, we'd be talking about it as one of the greatest throws of all time, because he launched that thing at the absolute perfect angle that it fell just into his hands, just where he could catch it with so little room to fit it in there. It was unbelievable. Jayden Daniels, and at this point, they've stopped becoming a run-first team in the red zone, and they are throwing it. Zach Ertz is a red zone target. Terry McLaurin is a red zone target. Jayden Daniels is going to get his passing touchdowns. They've shifted their offense entirely in the red zone, and they're throwing it at a higher rate now.
Yeah.
That is the key. That was always the thing that was holding him back, was they were running that ball. They were getting tackled at the 1 yard line and running that ball in with Brian Robinson, running it in with Austin Eckler, Jeremy fucking McNichols taking fantasy points from all of us. Like, this dude, keep giving me the free money. Please, please. I need it. I got to pay rent.
So I like the call here. I think if you're getting it at plus money again, the big question marks for that Eagles defense. One, it's Quinshon Mitchell at the cornerback position. Will he be up for this game? He is expected to play, but probably won't be at 100%. We'll see if he can last the full game. And we're not sure the status on Isaiah Rodgers as well, who's banged up against the Rams. That's his direct backup. So those cornerback situations right there for Philly really matter a lot to me. And it's why I'm going to go with my first prop of the night, staying with the Commanders offense. Dyami Brown over 3.5 receptions. Going back to the well here as well with Brown, he led the Commies in targets in the divisional round with 8, running or catching 6 of them for 898 yards. We had him on the 2.5 reception line last week. Now it's up at 3.5. Dyami has still hit this line in 3 of the last 4 and 4 of the last 6 games, also averaging 93.5 yards in the playoffs. So I think you could probably parlay this together at a lower unit wager with his 42.5 yard receiving line, probably get you somewhere in that 150, 175 plus range. Terry ran 93% of the snaps. Dyami ran a season high 83% of the snaps last week. Next closest was Zacchaeus at 44. Who him and Dyami were splitting times in the 2 receiver sets, but Dyami has obviously won out that role, going on how good he's looked so far this season. So with the injuries to that Eagles secondary, they were just leaking receptions to Puka and Kupp at the end of that game. I think they're going to do the same for the former Tar heel. So give me Brown there. I'm also going to go back to the well with Saquon Barkley in this game. He's over 125.5 rushing yards. This is minus 114 at FanDuel. Death taxes and betting on Barkley overs in the playoffs, boys. We've been hitting the 99.5 line the past 2 weeks. Most books, they have this at 130.5, but FanDuel actually is like the one outlier. They have it down at 125.5. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take that. I don't think, like Jake, that Jalen Hurts' knee is really being told the extent to that injury. So therefore, I'm going to lean on the Pennsylvania kid again this week. He's hit this line in 3 of 4. He would have hit it against the Packers if he didn't slide at the end of the game as well. That would have been 4 for 4 in his last 4 games. In games against the Commies this season, he's averaging 27.5 rushing attempts and 148 yards. I like the 125.5 rushing yards. So I'm going to put that together with the Dyami Brown over 3.5 receptions. I'm also going to put the Saquon over 25 plus rushing attempts. I think they're going to lean on him altogether at DraftKings. That gives me total odds of plus 305 for my Seth parlay of the week, presented by Angelo's Pizzaria in South Philly. Have you guys been to Angelo's in South Philly?
I've never been to Philly.
Okay, so I've only been.
Is this
to Philly.
actually presented by them, or are we just giving them free press?
Well, yeah, it's a Philly parlay. I figured I'd shout out the best place in Philly. Listen, I've only ever been to Philadelphia one time in my life, folks. It's right down the road from me, about 2 hours away nowadays. And I have a buddy from college, one of those guys who used to make some transactions with, if you know what I mean. Used to, always there when I needed him. Met him up with him in Philly. He's like, hey, I'm going to take you to the best cheesesteak place in the city. It was Angelo's. And then Sunday night, when that game was happening, they cut to a cheesesteak restaurant, and I said, that's Angelo's. That's got to be Angelo's. And what do you know? It was Angelo's. So Seth's Parlay of the Week, presented by Angelo's Pizzaria in South Philly. Giddy up, boys. Jake, I think you also have a parlay for us as well tonight.
Yeah, I do. I'm sticking with the Commies. I do think they're going to win this game, mostly just because I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be healthy here. But we're sticking with Jayden Daniels. We're going Jayden Daniels. We're moving the passing yards line. We're taking the alt line at 250 over. He's been doing it. He did it against Tampa last week or 2 weeks ago. He did it against Detroit this week. He's done it multiple times this year. He did it against Philly in week 16. They're going to have to throw, even if Saquon is running the ball all over them, down their throats, all over their face. They're going to have to throw to keep up with this team. Just their running game is not there. So I think we're going to see Jayden Daniels absolutely let it fly. He's going to throw 2 or more touchdowns. We're getting that one in there as well. It's basically Steve's line. I'm just adding the half to it. It's got to be 2 or more. So I don't even need 3. But we're getting the 2 in there. Hit this again in back-to-back weeks. Hit this in 7 of his last 8 games. So this is something that we've consistently been seeing here. And then to wrap it all in, one of those touchdowns is going to go to Zach Ertz, anytime touchdown as the last leg of that parlay. Ooh. Ertz has 4 touchdowns in his last 4 games. He was second amongst all tight ends in red zone targets, 26.6% target share this season in the red zone. Wow. Like Steve said, when they're getting there, Zach Ertz is getting the opportunity to catch the ball. That's been, kind of the key of this, late career resurgence for him. But you put all of that together over on FanDuel, you get that at plus 744, and I'm taking those odds.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Honestly, I was looking at a way to get invested with Zach Ertz because he has been so involved, Jake, and just hasn't had a lot of great trends when it comes to his receiving yards line or his reception line, but been very consistent with the touchdowns and getting looked at in the red zone. So maybe that's something I'll be looking at as just his anytime TD mark. I thought maybe I saw it at plus 175 or something like that. It was maybe that leg of it. Is that?
Yeah, it's around. Yeah, it's right around there. I can pull it up real quick just to verify. But yeah, it was too good of just a throw in to the parlay. I've been low key on an absolute heater on these 3-leg parlays. I'm up like 70 units since the beginning of this year on random 3-leg picks over on Underdog. But when I saw that line, whatever it was, I was like, this is too good to not like. I'm absolutely going to boost my parlay because I feel like that's the most given line in the parlay, and it didn't even have the best odds of my 3 picks.
Well, and right now, too, over on DraftKings, they are a sponsor of ours. You can check them out in the link of this episode. You can actually get a free, whatever your unit size is, they're probably going to throw out at you for a free parlay bet, no sweat bet this weekend. So make sure if you guys want to take a shot at Jake's Commie parlay, maybe my Angelo's Philly parlay as well, potentially get invested over there with DraftKings. You can no sweat. For me, it's like I got to take a no sweat if someone's going to give it to me for an NFL game or a college game. Like every time, I don't care if I have to double down on the bets I already have. You got to have a chance with it. So like this call out quite a bit, Jake, like all the bets we threw out tonight. Let us know below in the comments your favorite bet that we gave you tonight. Also, let us know your bets. Can we tell you guys? I mean, I'm sure some of y'all are out there on a heater right now if you're listening to this particular program. So appreciate that. Let's go ahead. We're going to round out the show. A lot of toxicity right now on the internet. We're going to make everything a little bit better. Some good news here. We'll get Kyle Scott up for that. Check it out. All right, it's our good news of the week. This is our feel-good headlines from around the sports and pop culture world. Boys, if you don't mind, I would like to start us out just because I don't think there was anything better on that toxic internet over the last 24 hours than the clip of Ryan Day. And hey, boys, he's A-okay here. So a clip went viral from the Mercedes-Benz Stadium worker who was driving the Buckeyes, I believe, back to the locker room after the celebration in the tunnel. And I don't like to make fun of anyone's driving, but she was maybe the worst driver I've ever seen in my life. I mean, she's probably nervous. Drove straight into the wall, though. Absolutely drove straight into the wall, almost taking out Ohio State head coach Ryan Day. Glad his leg's all right. Everything's good after the dub. It was later revealed, actually, too, like they never got back on the cart. They just started walking, and it was later revealed that the golf cart actually had a broken axle from this woman driving right into it. So make sure you check out the clip if you haven't. It was absolutely hilarious. But guys, for someone like Ryan Day, whose story has been so complex with everything his family and he has had to endure in the great state of Ohio, I am happy for him. I am happy this woman did not butcher his leg off.
The best meme I saw was that Lou Holtz actually paid her to crash the golf cart so that Ryan Day couldn't actually find him.
I love that. I saw so many of the Austin Powers clips,
Yes,
like, where he's like stuck between the wall. Like, so many amazing memes came out of this. I'm happy he's okay. Obviously, I think it's a little hard to get seriously injured in a golf cart crash in a football tunnel, but crazy
it was
things
close.
happen.
Yeah, it was. If
his
really
leg was hanging out of that golf cart,
yeah, that's
all right. That is such a pet peeve of mine because I golf and I'll go and people stick their legs out, and I actually know someone who shattered their ankle doing that because they were driving, not paying attention. One of those stone posts that they use to mark the hole, and they just hit it and it snapped out, like their leg broke.
I actually got yelled at.
Not as good of news for them.
Yeah, not good news at all. I got yelled at a couple years ago from my buddy because I was sticking my leg out. He's like, dude, I don't want you to like get your foot stuck. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of a dumb thing to do. So yeah, like I'm glad his foot was in and his leg was in the cart. Good on you, Ryan Day, for being prepared. And Kyle, what's up with that lady? She was even laughing. Like as soon as it happened, like, and it was everyone gave a big pop, but I mean, she might have that.
Can you catch a DUI for driving a golf cart?
You can.
She might lose her job, Kyle. You think Mercedes-Benz is gonna press some charges? What's going on here?
Sometimes all you can do is just laugh, and that's kind of like, what else are you gonna do?
True.
My wife is the queen of like awkward situation, just laughs. So I'm 100% convinced that's all it was, where they were just like, I don't know how to react, and my body just wants to laugh at this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a certified board member of the church giggles. I get that.
All right, Kyle, I want to throw it over to you with your good news of the week. What do you have for us, man?
All right, so I know this is a football show, but my good news is about baseball. Ichiro is a Hall of Famer as of 6:00 today.
That is good news.
Ichiro is my favorite baseball player. He's just so iconic. Everything about him. He has one name. He's up there with like Cher in terms of like recognizability.
Easy.
Madonna.
Let's slow down.
One name only. He's the Michael Jordan of Japan, baby. There's no one cooler than Ichiro, in my opinion.
I agree.
He's still out there looking hard, still has banging fits. He's always been dressed well. He
was drip before drip existed.
Oh, yeah. He was the drip king in 2001.
Shout out Ichiro, man. And Kyle, Kyle's like disc golf windup is actually like modeled after Ichiro's windup a little bit. So
everything I do is modeled after Ichiro.
I love it. Do you know, they interviewed some guys and they were like, who takes the most impressive batting practice that you've seen? And they said Ichiro. And everyone's like, why? That must be the most. And they're like, no, this dude hits bombs. Dude, they're like, he hits bombs. Like, it's crazy. Ichiro was a contact hitter because he chose to be. That's a crazy thing to say. Like, that man was a contact hitter because he was like, that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to slap the ball around the park.
Right? 3,000 hits for Ichiro?
3,000 hits, and he came in late.
Yeah.
And he came in late.
27.
Dude was like winning home run derbies in Japan and then came over here and was like, screw it. I'm going to try and set the all-time hits record.
My favorite Ichiro stat of all time is that Ichiro started his career 3 for 10. 3 for 10. After that moment, he never had his batting average dip below 300.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
wow. That's a Steve. Your trivia is off the hook. We had our office Christmas party a couple weeks ago, and Steve absolutely crushed everyone in trivia. So that's a good one to store away there in the dome, Colin. If there was more Ichiros in baseball today, I think I would watch more baseball, Kyle. I really would. So great news there from Kyle on the Japanese legend Ichiro. Steve, let's throw it over to you for your good news of the week.
Yeah, Seth knows I was struggling with this today. I was of the Captain Holt opinion of everything is garbage. But just when the night is always darkest just before the dawn, right? And like from the heavens, Shinedown, my favorite band, announces that they are going on their 2025 arena tour, the Dance Kid Dance Tour. They are going with Bush and Morgan Wade.
Yeah.
And Beartooth as well. I am hyped. They are coming. They're going to the TD Garden in Boston for the first time ever. They've never played the Garden before. I am so excited. Like, I've listened to Shinedown. I'm not even kidding, since like whenever the fuck WrestleMania like 19 was. Because like that's how long I've been listening to Shinedown. Like, I was just a little kid, and I was like, this band is awesome. And they've been in my top 10 Spotify bands, top 5. I mean, every year I've had Spotify. They've never not been there. Brent Smith is like my icon for music. I am such a fan of him.
Yeah.
I'm such a fan of the band. I can't wait for this new album. I am like all in. I have all their vinyl. I have like their vinyl. I am so in on Shinedown. It's not even funny. So right when I was just absolutely at my lowest point of like, I just can't handle good news right now because there just isn't that much going on, my guys show up for me again. They never fail.
Tell my mother.
I'm so glad I wasn't the only one with that song going through my head as soon as I heard Shinedown.
Yeah, that is an absolute banger. That'll get some people on their feet too. I'll get some people.
Oh, it does. When they play that live, dude, I'm telling you, that's a spiritual experience. I transcend my body. I lift above and just hover.
I'm gonna need somebody singing in Canton at Jose's now.
Yes. Oh, Steve's gonna be making his debut.
Let's go.
So,
I'm ready.
Maybe Steve will get after it. Before we get to Jake's good news, I wanted to answer a question here from Easy B. Easy B, hope you're having a great Tuesday evening. Thanks for joining us here on the IBT podcast. Jordan Love and a 2026 second round pick, or JJ McCarthy and Rome Odunze. Perry, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's comfortably McCarthy and Odunze for me.
Yeah,
like with zero questions about it whatsoever. Jordan Love, I overhated him. I still think the market is too high on him. Just generally speaking, he doesn't offer enough in the running game. He's makes too many questionable decisions as a passer. He goes through stretches where he's absolutely unstartable because he's throwing more picks than he is touchdowns. Like, it's a tale of two quarterbacks. He's either great or he's garbage, and I don't like to make those choices. The Minnesota Vikings offense is so good that like I feel like I could be a fringe top 25 quarterback in it. If I'm throwing to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, I'll probably be all right. And Odunze is, the Bears just got Ben Johnson as their head coach.
Yeah.
Caleb gets another year better. Rumor has it we're bringing Hank Fraley over from the offensive line coach position at Detroit to be our new offensive coordinator under Ben Johnson. I think sky's the limit for Odunze. I think sky's the limit for the Bears offense. And I think JJ McCarthy was one of the better quarterbacks in last year's class. And we've seen how good the class already is. So it's very comfortably that side for me.
I really like JJ McCarthy coming out. I actually just dropped, as I alluded to earlier in the program, my first mock draft of the season. I had a little chaos going in on that. In the third pick, I actually had the Vikings trading JJ McCarthy to get up to 3 and drafting Travis Hunter to get their cornerback one in the future, a guy that can deploy on offense occasionally as well. So that was kind of like my hot take of that mock. I don't think that was a very popular opinion. Vikings fans are not very happy with me on the internet right now. But if they do bring back Sam Darnold, I think, Steve, it's just in case, whether they trade McCarthy or whether they just keep him around to wait in the wings of Sam Darnold. I think it's just something to keep in mind, like have a backup plan if Jordan Love is one of your starters. And I do take it as probably super flex format. So make sure you have another quarterback too.
Yeah, I think if no matter the situation, I'm probably taking this on the McCarthy and Rome side.
Mm,
Yeah, I think Odunze has the opportunity to do some cool stuff with Ben Johnson. I don't think McCarthy's very good. I've said that for a long time. He's just not inspiring me in terms of his skill set.
yeah.
But neither is Jordan Love. Like, unless it's Toyotathon, there's really nothing good about him, right? Like, he kind of sucks any other time of year. So
He's got
it's a
Herbert
very-
and Knicks too. I mean,
Oh yeah, you're
Yeah,
100%
brother.
taking.
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure.
Make the move, brother. Make the move, brother. Don't hold back. Easy B, thank you for the question, brother. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you subscribe to the channel, come back and you hang out with us each and every Tuesday night. We're live here. We got a lot of rookie coverage coming for you in the off season. And we got Sloops hanging out with us saying, champs, what's going on, Sloops? Hope you're having a great off season so far, the fantasy season, and doing a little NFL gambling this weekend, maybe, Sloops. Jake, throwing it back to you. Close us out. What is your good news headline of the week, my friend?
Yeah, so obviously, everything that's been going on in Los Angeles with the fires and everything that's going on there. Excited to see a little bit of good news surrounding that. So 100 Thieves, large esports organization and a huge clothing brand in the streetwear side of things as well. They're going to host a relief drive for their fans. They're going to be giving out clothes, just general clothes, but also some exclusive gear of theirs, some unreleased stuff that they've created. They're going to give out toiletries, replace gaming peripherals, thanks to some of their sponsors as well. So if you have been affected by those fires, if you go to the 100 Thieves Twitter account, they have a form that you can fill out. They're going to vet all of the information on there to make sure that the people getting help are going to be the ones who need it. So that was just a really exciting thing for me to say, just because I have some friends who've personally, been very affected by the situation. Some of my friends over in LA, and just seeing kind of the chaos and everything that's going on over there. It's good to see an organization like 100 Thieves to step up and be one of the first to really publicly do something like this. It's huge for them, especially when you consider that the esports business is not profitable. Basically every esports organization loses tons and tons of money every single year. 100 Thieves is, even with the streetwear and the other brands that they have associated have been, directly affected by that as well. It's really nice to be able to see, the people who need help getting help. So that was some good news that I saw today.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear, man. And our heart especially goes out to everyone out there in California, in the Los Angeles area, being affected by these fires. I know Nicolette, our producer in the back end, she's right up in that mix as well. Her and her family are safe, but very much on edge still as the winds continue to operate out there. So our heart goes out to everyone making a difference in this world, whichever way you can. Is great, and happy to see the esports community rallying around the 100 Thieves team here and helping them out in this mix here, Steve.
Yeah, there's a lot of negativity and division right now in our country.
Yeah.
And I don't think this should be something that we are divided on. I think at this point, people need help. There's no reason to politicize, villainize anything about these fires other than, what? There is a fire raging. California is burning. LA is on fire. People are losing their homes, their memories. And it's not the material objects that they're losing. Think of what you have in your house, things that cannot be replaced.
Yeah.
Heirlooms, pictures of your kids, your family, your parents who have either passed or whatever, right? You can't replace some of those things. You can't replace memories like that. So if some organization could step in and just help and get them just anything that makes us a little bit better. It won't replace everything, but fuck, man, we got to do people got to do something. We got to do something for people, right? I mean, I know I've donated money to the, funds that have gone to help the wildfires, and I continue to do that. And I think more people should look at this as a much more positive thing and not we are just way too politicized at this point.
Yeah.
This is not a political issue. This is a human issue.
My only hope is that, we can continue to be better as people. We can continue to come together. We can rally around situations like this because, look, man, we're all Americans at the end of the day. We all want to do well. We all want to be great people. And you know, we're finding some real heroes in this situation, like the Los Angeles Fire Department and everyone out there who's contributing and continue to help other communities impacted by this fire. My hope is that here at IBT, we can just be a little bit of a light on your phone screen, your computer screen, however you're watching us on your TV screen, that we can just be a couple doofuses who like talking fantasy football, sports betting, pop culture, and we can be just a little bit of a light for you in this difficult time. And, you know, T's and P's goes out to everyone over there. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching us live tonight on the channel. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you to Kyle for all your producing, Nicolette in the back end as well. Jake, Steve, y'all were awesome tonight. Make sure you're following everyone at their appropriate socials. Make sure you're following along with us here at IBT. Check out the website, inbetweenmedia.com. Got a lot of stuff coming for you, some events popping off here. If you want to come hang out with us live in person in Canton, Ohio, and potentially Pittsburgh, maybe letting the cat out of the bag a little bit there, but you have some fun events for you here this off season. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Please like this video if you enjoy this type of content as well. For Steve and Kyle and Jake Perry, I'm Seth Wilcock. Enjoy the conference championships, y'all. Keep it in between until next time. Thank you.